Wildcat potatoes, fast train. Going to Easy, Alabama. Don't stop, Mississippi. Possum Point, Georgia. Miami.
Who's Amy?
Miami.
Hey, you mean your Amy?
Bo Hunkers.
Bo Hookers?
Bo Hunkers.
Bo Hunkers?
Oh, I'll take your part. Hoboken.
Hoboken. Oh, well, Mr. Conductor, I want to go to Hot Town.
Hot Town?
Yes, sir.
That's the last stop.
Last-
All aboard.
All right, sir.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. It's Crime and Punishment night, and we got not just myself, Tethercat, your amicable judge-like host with the gavel, but we also have another guest tonight, and it's going to be Bailiff Otterkate. Would you care to say hello, Bailiff Otterkate?
Hello, Bailiff Otterkate.
That works. And as always, since I've been streaming on this into the Discord channel and getting a feedback audio echo, but you know what? That's on my end, and I have no idea how I'll ever remedy that. Bailiff Otterkate, you shared today that you had some good news, and while I will not get into what that good news is, you were the one who requested that we play some Crime and Punishment tonight. Is that correct?
That is correct. I thought, what better way to sell good news than by...
Minimi 96 said,
couldn't
hey
agree more.
Tethercat, hello Kate, how are you both?
I'm actually doing well myself, Mini-Me. Thanks for asking. Kate, Mini-Me's asking how you're doing.
I'm doing pretty well, Mini-Me. How about you?
There you go. Getting a nice little round of hello and how are yous from everybody. All right. With that said, I think we're going to pop into our first case. I'm just making sure it all works. Yep, looks nice. Okay, now we got the background music going at a pretty low volume.
Minimi 96 said, doing okay, thanks.
Well, there you go. All right, and let's get into the first case of the night. Remember, everybody who's watching along, whether you're joining in, whether you're watching on the VOD, we're going to go through case by case, detail by detail. And at the end, we'll do a bit of a review if we feel it's warranted. And at that time, you yourself can pitch in whether you think that the sentencing should be for prison, jail, or probation, as well as the length of the time that should be, the length of sentence. Let's get into it. Court is now in session. Your rating will be affected by how much and what kind of information you choose. This is a sensitive one. I feel that we should skip past this one. And we're hitting a couple of the early ones here, but don't worry, we'll get to some good ones. All right. Tonight's first crime is unlawful imprisonment. There we are.
Tethercat said crime, unlawful imprisonment.
And with that said, let's get into the details of this case. We're going to look at the demographics. And the offender is a 52-year-old black Protestant male. The victim was a 39-year-old Hispanic woman. Unlawful imprisonment. The offender-victim relationship, they were old enemies. Wow. The weapon used and the physical injury. The victim has become sexually impotent. Wait a minute. All right, I just want to rewind back to the demographics. So we got a 52-year-old guy and a 39-year-old woman. Unlawful imprisonment. They were enemies, and now she, as a result, has become sexually impotent. Okay, just wanted to remind myself of this case. The property damage or loss was $1,600. And the excuse given why this 52-year-old man would do such a thing, well, he said he didn't do it. Well, they are old enemies. So, whatever the reason is, the police found just cause to arrest this man. Any thoughts on the case so far?
Minimi96 said wait what?
Yeah, I know, Mini-Me. You and me both. Any thoughts on the case so far there, Otterkate?
Nothing so far.
All right. Let's take a look at the offender's criminal record. And we're going to look at the adult prior crime types. The offender, this 52-year-old man, has also committed property crimes. Yeah.
Well, that escalated fast.
I'd say if he's only committing property crimes, it de-escalated. I mean, unlawful imprisonment is kind of the escalation on this one. As far as prior arrests and convictions go for this man, he has had 4 recorded prior arrests and 2 recorded prior convictions. The fugitive status on the day of the crime, well, he's not a fugitive. He's not a fugitive, and he said that he didn't do it. I don't know. Let's take a look at his reputation. The offender's reputation, he's a known racketeer. Well, these are old enemies. Bailiff Otterkate, do you have any desire to see the juvenile court blotter of a 52-year-old man?
I don't think we need to see that.
Okay, just checking. Just seeing if you're still there. The pre-sentence report. And we're going to take a look at the personal details. This 52-year-old man is married. He sniffs glue. Okay. And he is an expellee from a boarding school. His employment history is that he's a car salesperson. You know, I hesitate to say in my experience, but let's rephrase that to say, from the media I consumed back in the 1980s, car salespeople were more of a hard substance. I would consider sniffing glue to be a soft substance, if you catch my drift. The courtroom prosecution details. The jury recommends leniency for unlawful imprisonment. The ACLU says that a harsh sentence would be an outrage. Bailiff Otterkate, are you curious about the offender's upbringing or mental history?
I'm a little curious about my...
All right, well, we'll take a look at the mental history. The offender overeats and is grossly overweight.
How is that mental history?
I don't know the exact term for the mental psychological condition. I know that anorexia would be the opposite of that. Anorexia would be grossly skinny, if you would, underweight. So whatever that opposite is, that neural condition, that's what that would be. I would assume. All right. Let's take a look at the known facts. And remember, everyone in chat, this is your opportunity to think up a sentence and a length of sentence. In the crime of unlawful imprisonment, property damage or loss was $1,600. The offender and the victim were old enemies. The victim has become sexually impotent. The offender is a 52-year-old man. The victim was a 39-year-old woman. The offender said he didn't do it. The offender is not a fugitive. The offender, however, is a known racketeer with 4 recorded prior arrests and 2 recorded prior convictions, of which the offender has also committed property crimes, but remember, he's not a fugitive. The jury recommends leniency. The ACLU says that a harsh sentence would be an outrage. The offender overeats and is grossly overweight. The offender is married, sniffs glue, is an expellee from a boarding school, and the offender is a car salesperson. And there you go. That is the crime of unlawful imprisonment. Shall I go first, Bailiff Otter Kate?
Go for it.
All right. I can't believe that his claim of innocence is founded. I think it's a baseless claim, given his past history, his being a known racketeer. I think that his credibility is limited. Unlawful imprisonment for $1,600 might not sound like a large sum. It might not sound like a bank breaking number. But when you factor in that the victim has stated that she's become sexually impotent, like there has been physical damage to this case, I think that sentencing him to real imprisonment would probably be my call. And I would offer up an opening bid of 5 years of real lawful imprisonment. Lawful imprisonment. That's what I would suggest. 5 years in prison. With that said, Bailiff Otterkate.
No objections for me. I thought that maybe jail for a year, but I was worried that people would think that's too hard. So I'm happy to see someone going harsher.
All right. Well, even if no one thought that 1 year of jail would be too harsh, what would you have gone for an upper limit?
I don't know if I would go to prison, but jail for 3 or 4 years, maybe.
Okay.
Minimi96 said I don't know what to say about this. 8 prison.
Mini-me. Yeah, Mini-me is going a little harder, just like myself on this one. I suppose you've stated your case for 3 or 4 years of jail, and it's up to me to consider whether or not I would haggle down. And you know what? I would actually be comfortable with 4 years of jail. Your upper limit of 4 years of jail. It's still a lengthy sentence, and it may not be as hard as prison, but it still sends a good message to this guy. All right. I'm willing to entertain 4 years of jail, or 48 months, as the kids call it these days. Are you comfortable with that, Bailiff Otterkate?
I sure am.
All right, and Mini-Me will have you down on a napkin, and remember, I could go either way, but I'm really siding with Bailiff Otterkate on this one. Let's take a look at how we scored. Prison for 2 years, 5 months. Ours was harsher, if anything, which means that 5 years of prison would be harsher, and 8 years of prison would be harsher. So I consider 4 years of jail to be the lesser of all of them and the closer to the actual scoring sentence. So good job,
Minimi
Bailiff Watergate.
96 said good either way.
Yeah. Let's take a look at our score. Well, we got 5 gavels. Let me just type all this in.
Greed
Hey, Greed, how you
1914
doing?
said hot.
Welcome aboard, Greed.
Tethercat said gavels, 5, judicial IQ, 40.
All right. With that said, how'd you feel about that last case, Bailiff Watergate? Were you comfortable with how we scored, or do you think it was highway robbery?
I think we did just fine.
Well, there we go. Everyone, we did just fine, according to Bailiff Watergate. Once again, I would agree. And with that said, it's time for our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. And that's a sensitive one, so we're going to skip. We've had a lot of sensitive ones today, but not to worry. In that case, I skip past. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of carrying a concealed weapon. Okay.
Tethercat said crime, carrying a concealed weapon.
Let's take a look at the details of this crime. And we're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 33-year-old Hispanic male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship? Society is the victim. Isn't it always?
Victim!
Yeah, yeah. Poor society. The weapon used physical injury. Remember, the crime is carrying a concealed weapon. The weapon used physical injury. The weapon was a sawed-off shotgun. Wow.
That sounds like that's something not easy to conceal.
Depends how far you saw it off. I mean, shells are only about the length of a human thumb, so you gotta consider more of the stock, if anything. The property damage or loss. There was no monetary loss. I should say, and again, I don't condone any of this, but I should say that I had to go to a function last weekend, and I was caught in the rain, and I used my folded up umbrella, and the rain had stopped, so I put my folded up umbrella into my jacket pocket, and I walked around with it. So kind of keep that in mind as far as the length of this sawed-off shotgun and how it could be a concealed weapon. Let's see what the excuse given for this crime is. The offender said he sawed off a shotgun and carried it around concealed to get even. That's an odd thing to do. I'm gonna
Quite see the logic in that.
I'm gonna question this man's mental health. This 33-year-old male's mental health. I'm curious to see what that is. Because that ain't right. Let's take a look at the offender's criminal record. And we're gonna look at the adult prior crime types. Specific crime type of information is unavailable. We're taking a look at the prior arrests and convictions. Clean as a whistle. No recorded prior arrests, no recorded prior convictions. His fugitive status on the day of the crime is that he's wanted by the military police. Oh, that's not good. The offender's reputation is that he is sexually aberrant. And with that said, I don't think we need to look at the juvenile court blotter for this 33-year-old man. Any thoughts on the case so far, Bailiff Watergate?
Just that this is a weird case.
Kinda is. It kinda is. Let's take a look at the pre-sentence report. And we're going to take a look at the personal details. This 33-year-old man is honeymooning. Congratulations. He shoots dope. Non-congratulations. And he's a ski school graduate. Oh, boy. I guess he graduated top of his class. Haha. Ski school. Unless it was cross country, in which case that joke landed flat. Aha! I'm here all night, kids. Let's take a look at...
You can't see it, but I'm rolling my eyes at you.
Yeah, I can't see it, and perhaps that's all for the best. The courtroom process... You know what? Maybe I can... I can do this. Woo! There we go. Oh, you laugh at that.
Totally the same thing.
Yeah, you laugh at that. You don't laugh at the top of the class or the joke fell flat on a skiing. Okay, never mind.
Minimi96 said classic grandpa joke.
See? Mini-Me appreciates it. Totally. All right, let's take a look at the courtroom prosecution details before I lose my mind here. The defendant gave the police information on other serious crimes. That's interesting. The prosecutor calls for a strong sentence at a press conference. Again, the crime is carrying a concealed weapon. We're going to look at, actually, we have the options of the offender's upbringing and the mental history. And I kind of want to take a look at the mental history. How about you, Bailiff Ottergate?
Sure, go for it.
Yeah. So, and just to rewind, details of the crime, excuse given, carrying a concealed weapon, he said he did it to get even. And so for that reason, I want to take a look at his mental history. The offender is a computer addict. That's...
Aren't we all?
No. We're internet addicts. We're information addicts. But are we computer addicts? What is a computer addict? I'm not addicted to computer. I'm addicted to using the computer and accessing things, but apparently this individual really likes his IBM Pro 2. Oh, okay. On that note, let's review the known facts. And once again, everyone, this is your opportunity to pitch in with a sentence and length of sentence. The crime is carrying a concealed weapon. There was no monetary loss, and society is the victim. The weapon was a sawed-off shotgun. The offender is a 33-year-old man. The victims are the state and the people. The offender said he did it to get even. The offender is wanted by the military police. The offender is sexually aberrant. Specific crime type of information is unavailable. However, the defendant has had 0 recorded prior arrests and 0 recorded prior convictions. The defendant gave the police information on other serious crimes. The prosecutor calls for a strong sentence at a press conference. The offender is a computer addict. The offender is honeymooning, shoots dope, and is a ski school graduate. And there we have it. Bailiff Ottercade, I'm going to let you hop on this one and see what your judgment call would be.
Well, for this totally serious crime, I'm going to say probation 1 year.
All right, and what's your justification for such a light sentence?
Well, there was no harm done, no monetary loss. It doesn't seem like a really serious crime to me.
Considering that when he said that he did it to get even, he basically admitted guilt. So, I mean, he fessed up. He is wanted by the military police. So I feel that's within our jurisdiction to attempt to hold him a bit longer. But I would agree that 1 year of probation, I wouldn't say 1 year of probation. He's squeaky clean, yes. And he did give information on other serious crimes. So I would say 2 years of probation. And once again, that's more just the military police thing. Because otherwise, if he didn't have that military police item on his agenda, then I truly feel the 1 year of probation would be absolutely justified. How do you feel about bumping this up to 2 years of probation, which is still a slap on the wrist?
I'm okay with it.
All right. We're going to go with 2 years of probation, and we're going to watch as we fail, because it's not 1 year of probation, as Bailiff Ottercade had suggested. Let's take a look at how we score.
Minimi96 said he's trying to live life but failed. Maybe 5 probation or jail.
Ah, good guess, Mini-Me. Jail, 10 months, 24 days, which would have been exceptionally close to 1 year of... 1 year of probation would have been an even lighter sentence. This judge ordered jail. Ah, well. Yeah, I don't know. Mini-Me, you might have actually been on the ball. Either way, we didn't quite get the scales of justice to be equalized, and we're going to take a look at how we scored. Really? 1 gavel? I honestly thought we would have had more than that.
I guess we need to switch to something easier like medicine.
Yes.
Tethercat said gavel, 1, judicial IQ, 28.
I think
Minimi 96 said what is this bull?
I think Mini-Me is about to throw a table. About to flip the table. Don't blame you, Mini-Me. All right. And yes, medicine would be the simpler of the two options between medicine and dealing with this green jerk. All right. And we haven't even hit an egregiously bad case yet. This is just normal. Let's take a look at our next case, everybody. Actually, you know what? I'm going to call a quick hydration check for everyone.
Tethercat said hydration check.
People in contempt of court?
I mean, we can't hold people in contempt of court via the game, but we can administer additional sentencing, which may skew our scales of justice off, but I think we would feel better. Why do you ask about contempt of court, Bailiff Ottergate?
You were talking about people flipping over tables, and I just don't think that's appropriate behavior for the courtroom.
Well, to be fair, Mini-Me simply stated, what is this bull? I was the one who suggested flipping tables, and if anyone's going to be thrown in contempt of court, that would be me. 10 times over.
Oh, I actually told you in contempt.
But the ski school jokes didn't land. See, there's a third one right there. It didn't land. Because... Hold on a sec, wait. Wait a minute. There we go. I got your back. Okay. Now it's time for our next case, everybody. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. We have fun here on this stream.
We do.
The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of this.
Okay.
Jury foreman Mini-Me, any thoughts before we get started on this case on the crime of this?
Tethercat said crime, jalst k jazd kaf ja is.
Let's, you know what? Let's review the known facts. Oh, game crashed. I couldn't even be bothered. I don't even, we had that option to, we had that option.
Minimi 96 said not yet.
Well, not yet, but it ain't gonna happen. I should have done my hydration check now. At any rate, we got us a reset, so let's just wait it out. And this is a time for us to talk and get along, get to know one another. Have ourselves a little sit-down conversation fireside. You know what I did today, Bailiff Ottergate?
I do not know what you did today.
I know, and that actually relieves me, because if you knew, then either you'd be spying on me or you'd be a prognosticator, and both of those are terrifying.
So what did you do today?
Oh, since you're asking, I'm glad you asked. I woke up, and then there were a couple of times I used a bathroom. Successfully,
Minimi 96 said at least you're getting away with this without June on you.
Oh, I know. She'd be all over me on this one. I ate a food or two, and I had a walk, and it was nice out.
It was a beautiful day for a walk.
Yeah. Yeah. I was so glad that I was able to get all 5 minutes of it. Midday. Yeah. But you know what? That's all fine. I honestly, today I worked and then I did a bit of chores and cleaning. And that's about it. So, and I haven't really eaten at all. I haven't really done much of anything.
Minimi96 said it was.
It was a beautiful day out. Bailiff Ottergate, I am asking you, what did you do today?
I worked. I walked home. I had some dinner. Nothing super exciting.
I don't know, that all sounds super exciting. Except for the working part, the walking part, and the dinner part. But I'm on board. I give you a thumbs up. I salute you on this one. You can't say there's nothing exciting. There's always excitement in any given day. Anything. It could be a little tiny moment of thrill, but there's always something going on every day. I think.
What was the excitement of your day?
I'm trying to think. Two things happened. One, I was successfully granted 1 week vacation. Ooh. The volume is loud on this chiptune. Okay, now that we're past that ear-splitting song, yay. Yeah, I was successfully granted 1 week of vacation from work, so I'm going to be doing a lot of streaming in odd hours over the next week. And I also managed to uncover many video game systems, which was quite nice. That was part of my chores. That was my excitement on the day. We're about to start the next case, but it's up to you, Bailiff Ottercade, if you wish to share what your excitement on the day was. It's up to you.
Minimi96 said let's make a little comedy stand stream.
Let's. I could, you know. I could. Bailiff Ottercade?
I got some good news today.
Ah, well, I'm
That's
glad.
my excitement.
I'm glad you got your good news, and I'm glad you got your excitement. Are you ready for the next case, are you?
I sure am.
All right. I like that suggestion, Mini-Me. Let's make a little comedy stand stream. It would not be difficult to actually set up an improv night. I mean, I've already landed 3 skiing jokes. So let's do the court.
You say
Oh yeah.
landed.
Yeah. I spoke aloud 3 skiing jokes. Comedy is best done when comedy arrives in threes, so I feel I succeeded. Court is now in session. Bam, bam, bam. Court is now in session. Rating will be affected by how much and what kind of information you choose. Let's get in on it, kids. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of insider stock trading.
Martha Stewart, is that you?
See, I'm not the only one here with the witty.
Tethercat said crime, insider stock trading.
By the way, I find that I read aloud. I read on the fly. And whenever I see the word insider, I pronounce it wrong. So keep your ears open if you've ever watched any of the past streams, any of the VODs. And if you're watching this tonight live, keep your ears open while I mispronounce insider frequently. With that said, let's hop into this case. The details of the crime. We're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 46-year-old white Mormon male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship. Society is the victim. The weapon used in physical injury was none, and the property damage or loss for insider stock trading was $2 million. See?
Whoa.
I'm just stumbling over those 3 words. Yeah, $2 million in insider stock trading. The excuse given for this crime? He said he needed money for a friend's sex change operation. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. 46.
I mean, that's an obvious motive, but it still doesn't excuse the crime.
No, it does not excuse the crime, no. All right, let's take a look at the offender's criminal record, and we're going to take a look at the adult prior crime types. They include speeding. Okay. The prior recorded arrests and convictions. Wow, this man has seen some action. 10 recorded prior arrests, 9 recorded prior convictions. And
That's a lot of speeding.
that is a lot of speeding. let's take a look at his fugitive status on the day of the crime. He's wanted by the FBI, you think? No doubt. Yeah, $2 million insider stock trading. Let's take a look at the offender's reputation. Oh, he's also known as Babyface. Oh. Babyface. Bailiff Articate, do you want to see this 46-year-old man's juvenile court blotter?
I don't think that's necessary.
I don't know. The FBI's after him, and he's committed a lot of crimes, so this could be like, critical to this case, but I think we should skip it as well. The pre-sentence report, the details of this man, and I think I said he was 46 years old. He's divorced. He doesn't use drugs, apparently, and he is a parochial school graduate. Doing a speed run any percent FBI.
Minimi96 said sounds like a Batman villain.
Does sound like a Batman villain. Mini-me, since you bring up the suggestion and I extend this to you too, Bailiff Ottercate, what would this Batman villain's villain name be? Think on that while we get to the personal details of this gentleman. Employment history is that he's a white-collar worker. We're going to take a look at the courtroom prosecution details. The defendant says, Babyface says, I'm sorry. And no, Babyface can't be his Batman villain name, so I'm just striking that out now. Babyface says, I'm sorry. A TV reporter predicts that you, the player, will imprison the defendant. For $2 million of insider stock trading, you think? Way to go, TV reporter. Bailiff Autocade, do you wish to look at the offender's upbringing or mental history?
Don't think I need to see those.
I think if we're going to call this guy a Batman villain, we should absolutely look at the mental history, especially if this is taking place in Gotham. The offender is abnormally suspicious. He tapes all conversations. Huh. Okay. That falls in line with Batman villainy. I'm just going to throw that out there. Let's review the known facts. Once we conclude the known facts, we'll ask for the Batman villain names, and then we'll reach a decision where you, watching along, can contribute a sentence and a length of sentence. Reviewing the known facts. In the crime of insider stock trading, the property damage or loss was $2 million. Society is the victim, and there was no personal injury. The offender is a 46-year-old white Mormon male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender said he needed money for a friend's sex change operation. The offender is wanted by the FBI. The offender is also known as Babyface. Prior crimes include speeding. Prior recorded arrests are 10 and prior recorded convictions are 9. The defendant says, I'm sorry. A TV reporter predicts that you will imprison the defendant. The offender is abnormally suspicious. He tapes all conversations. The offender is divorced, doesn't use drugs, is a parochial school graduate, and the offender is a white-collar worker. And with all of that said, we're going to ask for the Batman villain names. Mini-me, please fire away. Bailiff Ottercade, have you come up with one?
I have. I'm not sure it's a good villain name, but I would say Speed Racer.
Ooh.
Minimi96 said his friend is a trap, and trying to make him a real woman. Tethercat said Batman villain name number 1, Speed Racer.
Okay. Maybe you described the villainy, but you didn't give a Batman villain name. And I don't think that's his Batman villain name, because you can't hyphen that and then expect Batman to yell out his name while fighting in a factory. So I'll give you a bit more time to think of a Batman villain name. My Batman villain name for this person would be what are you know, when they're trying to do the stock trading and they're trying to get past the bell and they're like waving those ticket flags in the air and screaming, "Oranges! Sell, sell, sell!" I'm going to call him the seller. He's going to be known as the seller. Either that or the buyer, so. Okay. So we got two Batman villain names.
Batman villain name number 2, the seller.
And now, once we get into Mini-Me's suggestion, we'll throw that up as well. But while we wait for Mini-Me and anyone else who's watching along, let's reach a decision on this case. Bailiff Otterkate, do you have any thoughts on $2 million of insider stock trading?
I sure do. I would say prison, 15 years.
15 years of prison. That is both harsh and what I would have considered really close to. What is your justification for 15 years of prison?
I have to have a reason?
You don't, but it does allow for more conversation within the VOD.
I just think that it's a crime that doesn't get punished harshly enough. And
Right.
$2 million is a lot of money.
I would absolutely agree with that assessment. So I'm also going to go with 15 years of prison. All right.
And he's wanted by the FBI.
He is absolutely wanted by the FBI. I wouldn't go any change from 15 years. I think that it's an admirable number. I feel that you justified it with his FBI. Yes, I think that you described it quite adequately, and I'm on board. With that said, let's take a look at how we scored. Apparently,
Minimi96 said the trick trader or the trade trickster. I don't know.
Ooh,
Just throwing
trade
that
trickster. Kind of like that one. Anyway, you came up with a good one there. We scored a year and a half of jail versus 15 years of prison for $2 million of insider stock trading. I can't even. I can't even. What's the Batman villain name for this judge? Anyway, all right. Let's take a look at what pitiful score we had. I feel we're justified. Bailiff Otterkate, I still maintain you get honorary gavels on this one. Let's take a look.
Thank you.
Boy, one gavel. I'm gonna call this guy Groucho. Straight up, I'm just calling him Groucho. There we go. All right. I got a lot of typing to do, so please, Bailiff Otterkate, say some things.
Well, I really like Mini-Me's suggestions of names. I also enjoy the trade trickster.
So do
and
I.
for the judge,
Tethercat said Batman villain
I
name
mean, we often
number 3, trade
call
trickster.
him the green gremlin or goblin.
The green gremlin. Green gremlin, that's beautiful.
And you were very quick there with the
Tethercat said gavels. 1, judicial IQ, 11.
the glasses.
Yeah, I have them.
Did you have that?
Yeah, I have it set up. It was a little off direction, but I managed to fix it on the fly. With that said, we're gonna leave that up for a moment. And
Minimi96 said the green grouch.
the green grouch. Mini-Me.
Mini-Me's on a roll.
Fire jury foreman Mini-Me. All right. We're not going to do Batman villain name, but the green grouch. Oh, you know what? Batman villain. I say all this out loud as I type it, but I don't know why Chat Rat's just going to reiterate me, so I got to shut up while I type this. There we go.
Does Chat Rat
Tethercat
have an
said
official
Batman
name
villain
yet?
name, for Judge Green Grouch.
There we go. Excellent suggestion, maybe we're taking it. Chat Rat does... Chat Rat is very, very close. Chat Rat is on the threshold of having an official name. And yet, I still call it Chat Rat, so it's not official yet. Y'all can fight about that in the channel to your heart's content. All right, let's get on to the next case, everybody. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. The crime here is setting a false alarm. All right.
Tethercat said crime, setting a false alarm.
Fantastic. Let's take a look at the details of this crime. We're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 24-year-old white Catholic male. The victims are the state and the people. Pardon me while I just lower that music a little. Okay. 24-year-old white Catholic male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship. The offender had no knowledge of the victim. Again, the crime is setting a false alarm. The weapon used physical injury. None, but the property damage or loss was $410. These setting a false alarm crimes can sometimes go very small or very large. This one happens to be small. And the excuse given for the crime? He said he had an irresistible urge to set a false alarm. Okay.
Understand that.
We're off to a flying start on this case. Let's take a look at the offender's criminal record. This 24-year-old male's adult prior crime types include misdemeanors. His prior arrests and convictions, he's had just one recorded prior arrest and one recorded prior conviction. And his fugitive status on the day of the crime is that he was on probation for that one conviction, most likely. Which, that one conviction included a misdemeanor. We've already established where this guy's gone. Let's take a look at the offender's reputation. The offender is a regular churchgoer. He's been convicted for a misdemeanor. Let's take a look at the pre-sentence report. And this 24-year-old male's personal details are that he is cohabiting, he drinks coffee excessively, and he is a vocational school graduate. His employment history is that he can't hold down a job. Oh, shucks. His court and prosecution details are that the jury recommends leniency, and a public pressure group calls you weak. Bailiff Ottercate, do you wish to see the offender's upbringing or mental history?
I do.
Do you now? Both?
Yes.
All right. The offender's upbringing. This 24-year-old man had a normal home life and was raised in Hollywood. And as far as his mental history goes, the offender has a slightly anxious personality, perhaps like you.
I feel very attacked right now.
I feel very attacked right now. All right, let's just, so one of the things is, perhaps like you. Man, game's getting all up in our grill. Okay. Let's, we've already seen all the details of this game. I am somewhat slighted. This game has, that's a programming thing. That's the programmers taking a shot at
Minimi
people playing a
96
computer.
said, what is this message?
I know, right? What is this message? What is even happening here? This is the programmers of the video game calling out players on the Commodore 64 as slightly anxious people who play judge simulation games like theirs. They pocketed our money. Thanks for paying for this game. By the way, you're slightly anxious, aren't you? I don't feel anxious or slighted by the game. I feel slighted by the people who created it. Anyway. That's enough of me ranting. It's not enough of me ranting, but we're going to have to suffice with that now, aren't we? Totally feel called out. Let's review the known facts. Man, that just threw me off. Let's look at the crime of setting a false alarm. I do suffer from anxiety, chat. Just so everyone knows. Full disclosure. Property damage or loss on setting a false alarm. $410. The offender had no knowledge of the victim. There was no personal injury. The offender is a 24-year-old white Catholic male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender said he had an irresistible urge to commit a false alarm. The offender was on probation. The offender is a regular churchgoer. His prior crimes include misdemeanors, of which he did receive 1 arrest with 1 conviction. The jury recommends leniency. A public pressure group calls you weak. The offender had a home life that was normal, and he was raised in Hollywood. The offender has a slightly anxious personality.
96 said whoever wrote this report file knew who we are.
Yes, I agree. The offender is cohabiting, drinks coffee excessively, and is a vocational school graduate. And the offender can't hold down a job. Should I try and distract myself from that flagrant insult and throw in my thoughts on this case there, Bailiff Autocate?
I think you should.
I think I should too. $410 setting a false alarm. Nothing happened. The guy's otherwise pretty crystal clear. He's serving a probation for a misdemeanor. Honestly, I think this is probation worthy, and we're going to do, I would suggest 3 years. It's not even a huge crime of setting a false alarm. Probation will allow him to pay off the 410 in damages within, a very short amount of time.
Ymir said 15 life sentence, please.
No, we're not doing that, Ymir, and welcome aboard. Bailiff Autocate, what are your thoughts?
I agree with probation. I think if mental history had suggested that he had some mental health problems, I would have recommended jail just so he could get some help. But I would go with probation.
That's right. And the length of time, 3 years, does that suffice on your end?
Sure does.
All right. Yeah, if he was really anxious, he wouldn't be going to jail. He'd stay in probation and have to suffer through society like the rest of us. Not calling out any names, Blue Cat. Okay, here we go. I got really slighted by this game. Oh, 6.5 years of probation, says the judge. I still feel justified by 3 years of probation for setting a false alarm. I don't think it was 6.5 years, but what do we know? Let's take a look at our score. Oh, we got 4 gavels.
Ymir said astonished face, it's Tether Otter, smiley face.
Yes, Ymir, it's Tethercat, and I'm playing tonight's crime punishment session along with Bailiff Ottercate.
And apparently we're not playing right. 42.
Kind of lost you there. Don't know if your microphone was distant from your face or if the connection lost a little. But
judicial IQ, 42.
What was that you said there?
Apparently we're not very bright because our judicial IQ is only 42.
Yeah. Well, on the bright side, we're going to try some more cases to improve our score. And once again, everyone, this is your opportunity to play along, find out what the details of the case are, and then at the end, issue a sentence and a length of sentence. But now it's time for our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. Ooh, the defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of embezzlement.
Tethercat said crime, embezzlement.
Let's take a look at the details of this case. And we're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 56-year-old Oriental male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship. The offender figured that a few victims were inevitable. These things happen when you're embezzling, I suppose. The weapon used physical injury was none. However, the property damage or loss was $555. The excuse given for this crime, the offender said he needed money to support a drug habit.
Not a good excuse.
It's not a good excuse, especially when you're dealing with embezzlement. There was no weapon used or physical injury, and the property damage or loss was $555. So it doesn't even say what was being embezzled. It's just that it was worth $5.50. All right, let's take a look at the offender's criminal record. We're going to take a look at the adult prior crime types for this 56-year-old man. They include barroom brawls. The prior arrests and convictions. Wow, he has had 12 prior recorded arrests and 6 recorded prior convictions, of which some of those, at least one, included barroom brawls. The fugitive.
That's a lot of brawls.
That is a lot. That is a lot of knuckles happening right there. The fugitive status on the day of the crime. The offender was on parole for one of his many crimes. And the offender's reputation. He's known as Lucky. I bet it's carved on his knuckles, and he has 4 knuckles with the word luck and 1 knuckle with the word Y.
I bet you're right.
Yeah. Lucky seems like that kind of a guy. Bailiff Autorcate, juvenile court blotter? Nah.
No.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the pre-sentence report. We're going to take a look at personal details. This 56-year-old man is unmarried. He stays sober as a judge and yet gets in barroom brawls. Go figure. And he is a high school graduate.
Minimi96 said he's now unlucky.
Yes. He needs money for his drug habit. He's now unlucky. Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, if he's had 12 recorded prior arrests and 6 recorded prior convictions, and he still calls himself lucky, he's still lucky. This will not make him unlucky. The only thing that could make that happen is if he tattooed a U and an N on his other knuckles. Okay, let's take a look at his employment history. The offender is a white-collar worker. How? I don't know. And now let's take a look at the courtroom prosecution details. The defendant threatens a prosecution witness with his knuckles because he thinks he's in a bar room. A mayoral candidate calls this a test case for the system from a safe and undisclosed location away from the courtroom. Okay. Bailiff Autorcate, are you curious about this offender's upbringing or mental history?
Minimi96 said or now be called Jenks.
Jinx. Mini-Me's just coming up with all the Batman villain names tonight. Although there is a DC superhero villain who's called Jinx. I know this because I watch Teen Titans Go, which no one else watches. Bailiff Autorcate, offender's upbringing or mental history?
Both, please.
Okay. The offender's upbringing, this 56-year-old man. The offender's mother was a communist, and the offender was raised in the inner city. His mental history is that he is psychotic. He considers himself invulnerable. That explains a lot. It really does. No wonder. You know what? If I thought I was invincible, I'd be calling myself lucky too. So, once again, I don't begrudge the guy that. So, what are we going to do about Punchy McPuncherson here?
Definitely.
I'd throw the book at him, except it wouldn't even hurt him.
He's invulnerable.
He's invulnerable and he's lucky. Let's take a look at the known facts, because this is a fun case at this point. In the crime of embezzlement, which you wouldn't associate with someone who's just all knuckles, kind of a meathead, but anyway, this guy tried doing embezzlement and failed. Property damage or loss was $555. The offender figured that a few victims were inevitable, because to him they always are. No personal injury. The offender is a 56-year-old male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender said he needed money to support a drug habit. The offender is on parole. He's known as Lucky. His prior crimes include bar and brawls. He's had 12 recorded arrests and 6 recorded prior convictions. The defendant threatens a prosecution witness. The mayoral candidate calls this a test case for the system. The offender's mother was a communist. The offender was raised in the inner city. The offender is psychotic, and he considers himself invulnerable. The offender is unmarried, stays as sober as a judge, and is a high school graduate. Also, inexplicably, the offender is a white-collar worker. Well, I'm gonna hand you the reins on this one, Bailiff Otterkate. Go to town, let loose, tell us what you think. For the rest of you in chat, please compile your sentence and length of sentence. Take it away.
Well, first of all, if he stays as sober as a judge and he has a drug habit, what does that say about judges? oh, Bailiff Otterkate throwing down the gauntlet. Bailiff Otterkate making a connection, putting together the correlation and causation effect going on here. I get what you're saying. As for the defendant, normally $500 of embezzlement I wouldn't think is super serious, but considering his prior convictions, his mental history, I would say prison, maybe 10 years.
All right. I would disagree heavily with that. We aren't trying any of the other cases. This is simply embezzlement. And he admitted guilt, and yeah, he did threaten the prosecution witness, and I'll get to that, but it's only embezzlement. It's only $555. That, I think, is worthy of maybe semi-hard jail time or very light prison. I'd say maybe 2 to 3 years prison. Now, with that said, I think that threatening the prosecution witness, not cool, so I jumped that up to 3 or 4 years of prison. But I think 10 years of prison would be excessive. Don't get me wrong, though. I fully agree that this guy should be incarcerated perhaps for the rest of his days, but not on this crime. So
Logic.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you to haggle on this one. Would you go down to either 3 or 4 years of prison?
5 jail.
And let's also consider jury foreman Mini-Me's suggestion of 5 years of jail, which is entirely valid as well. Would you be willing to haggle there?
I'm absolutely willing to haggle.
Mm-hmm.
I think 5 years jail is reasonable.
So you're gonna say 5 years of jail, are you?
I'm gonna go with Mini-Me.
Okay. Well, I was going to say 3 to 4 years of prison. I concur that 5 years of jail would be an adequate time for this crime. Yeah, okay. I'll go with both your haggled effort and Mini-Me's suggestion of 5 years of jail. Are you comfortable with that, Bailiff Otterkate?
Jeffrey White said hi.
Hey, welcome aboard, Jeffrey White. We're playing some Crime and Punishment, and you're at the end of this case, but we're going to have another one immediately after, so stick around for the next minute or two. Bailiff Otterkate, are you cool with 5 years of jail?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's see our score. 13 months of jail. The judge sentenced extraordinarily light at just over a year of jail. Well, much better than 10 years of prison, much better than 3 years of prison, so good job, Mini-Me. Still pretty hefty sentence. Let's take a look at our score. Yep, we got 1 gavel. Gavels, 1. Judicial IQ, 31.
Tethercat said gavels, 1, judicial IQ, 31.
And with that said, we're going to start a new case, but number one, I'm going to actually call for a hydration check. So we're going to have that. Everyone in chat, everyone playing along, get yourself hydrated to take a moment.
Tethercat said hydration check.
All right. Welcome aboard, Jeffrey White. It's good having you here. Crime and Punishment, if you haven't seen the streams or if you haven't played, what it is it's a judge simulation game. And we get the details of a case where the defendant is guilty and is going to be incarcerated, but we have to determine the length of sentence and the type of sentence, i.e. prison, jail, or probation, and a length of time. So we get the details of the case, and then we got to make the call. And we construct the narrative, and it's usually pretty funny. So tonight we have Bailiff Otterkate with us, and we have Jury Foreman Mini-Me, and that's the rundown of how this game is played. Is everyone ready for the next case?
Yep.
All right, well, remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of heroin use.
I can see how
Tethercat said
possession and
crime,
trafficking are
heroin
crimes,
use.
but the actual use?
Yeah, the actual usage. Well, I fully agree with you. The possession, the trafficking, those are definite crimes. But as far as using, that's more self-harm, if anything, at that point. Okay, let's take a look at the details of this crime. And as always, we're going to look at the demographics. The offender is a 42-year-old black male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender-victim relationship, society is the victim. And the weapon used, physical injury, none. I would argue that there was physical injury. Property damage or loss.
And I would argue that the defendant is also the victim.
Absolutely, I fully agree. There was no property damage or loss, but this 42-year-old man's excuse given for this crime. He said he did it to get even. Now that's an odd thing to say. Gotta admit, that's an odd one. Alright, let's take a look at this offender's criminal record. This 42-year-old man's adult prior crime types. The offender has previously committed violent crimes. Not cool. His prior arrests and convictions are 2 recorded prior arrests and 1 recorded prior conviction. The fugitive status on the day of the crime is that he's a jail escapee. This just keeps getting worse and worse. The offender's reputation. This 42-year-old man is a Little League coach. That a fact.
Okay.
All right. Bailiff Otterkate, do you have any desire to see the juvenile court blotter? I don't.
No.
Okay. Let's take a look at the pre-sentence report. And we're going to take a look at the personal details. This 42-year-old man. He's unmarried. He sniffs glue. And he is a computer school graduate. The employment history is that he's a white-collar worker. The courtroom prosecution details. The defendant was bound and gagged during the trial. God!
Okay.
The defendant was defended by a private attorney. Those cost money, don't they? Private attorneys.
They sure do.
They sure do. Bailiff Otterkate, are you curious about the offender's upbringing or mental history?
Yes, I am. Both.
Okay, we're going to do both. The offender's upbringing. The offender was a spoiled child and was raised in a rural environment. And as far as his mental history goes, this 42-year-old man is excessively introverted. All right. So, this is where we review the known case, the known facts of the case, and so as we go through the case, this would be your opportunity to figure out what kind of sentence you would issue and length of sentence. With that said, let's review the known facts. The crime is heroin use. There was... Now, I know we said that the victim was himself. And yeah, we had that preamble at the start, but this case took a turn, so keep that in mind. In the crime of heroin use, there was no monetary loss, society is the victim, and there was no personal injury, asterisk. The offender is a 42-year-old man. The victims are the state and the people. The offender said he did it to get even. The offender is a jail escapee. The offender is a Little League coach. The offender had previously committed violent crimes. He has had 2 recorded prior arrests and 1 recorded prior conviction. The defendant was bound and gagged during the trial. The defendant was defended by a private attorney. The offender was a spoiled child, was raised in a rural environment. The offender is excessively introverted. The offender is unmarried, sniffs glue, is a computer school graduate, and the offender is a white-collar worker. Whew. This is chaos. I suppose I'm going to go first. I'll score this one. I want to go probation. I do. I really do. The only real affront which happened during the case was the bound and gagged part. It didn't say why he was bound and gagged, but there must have been a reason. So, given the fact that he's violent, his record is unsavory, I can't, with a clean conscience, issue probation on this guy. It has to be something harsher, even though it's heroin use and we want him to rehabilitate. Wow. I'm going to say jail, and I'm going to say 4 years of jail, and hopefully he can get some help he desperately needs in that 4 years of jail. With that said, Bailiff Ottercate, what are your thoughts?
I definitely agree with jail, especially because he's already a jail escapee.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
I think 4 years is a bit harsh. And it's interesting that you were considering other, like his history, considering in a past case you said not to look at the history, that we were only covering the crime.
Okay. That's a fair point. The crime here is heroin use.
I'd be willing to go 2 years of jail.
All right. I was actually willing to haggle higher. I thought that my 4 years of jail was low. But you do make an absolutely valid point of not judging on previous cases and dealing with this case as its own entity. So I would be willing to agree that 2 years of jail time would be appropriate, given the fact that he admitted that he had done the crime. He was bound and gagged for whatever reason during the trial, and as you stated, he was in a jail escapee. For heroin use, okay, 2 years of jail. I can abide by that. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, let's see how you scored. 4 years of prison, 4.5 actually, but well, these things happen. I still think that you definitely had the good logic on your side. I stand by you on this one. Let's take a look at how we scored, everybody. Well, we got 4 gavels. I don't know about traffic court. Unless it's... No, I'm not even going to make a trafficking joke. Not even. Let's just type this out and get on to the next one.
Oh, but that would be so much better than your skiing jokes.
Skiing jokes are innocuous grandpa humor.
Now, you say humor.
Tethercat said gavels, 4, judicial IQ, 42.
Now, watch your words there, Bailiff Ottercake, because as you question the humor of the skiing jokes, you do understand that you're starting to go down a slippery slope.
I think you better spin me around again.
Okay, I'm going to spin you
I'm
around.
rolling my eyes.
Okay, hold on a second. Here all week, everybody. Try the veal. Now it's time for our next case. Remember, it is how much and what kind of information that is important. See, slippery slope, because when you're skiing, right, there's a thing called a ski jump. And,
Yeah, I get where you were going with it.
okay. The defendant is to be sentenced for the crime of hijacking. You can't see how smug my face is right now.
That's probably for the best.
Tethercat said crime, hijacking.
All right, hijacking. Interesting. Let's take a look at the details of this crime. And we're going to take a look at demographics. The offender is a 19-year-old white Catholic male. The victims are the state and the people. And when we get into these younger ages, I feel that the juvenile record and upbringing become more relevant. So we got a 19-year-old guy who's done hijacking. The offender-victim relationship, he said that the victims were only those who asked to be hijacked.
So he went around asking people, hey, do you want to be hijacked?
And they said yes, so he hijacked them, and then he got arrested. But keep in mind, this is the offender said, so it didn't actually happen that way. This is just his claim, because if it did happen that way, that would be consent, and this wouldn't be a crime. So the offender,
Well said.
yeah, the offender said that the victims were only those who asked for it. The offender is stupid. The weapon used in physical injury, there was none. The property damage or loss was $39,000. The offender is stupid. The excuse given for this crime, he said he was upset at his mother's death. I'm sorry, that's not a normal reaction.
I mean, I know people experience grief in different ways, but come on.
But come on. I fully agree with that assessment. Let's take a look at the offender's criminal record. Keeping in mind he's 19 years old, let's take a look at his adult prior crime types. They include receiving stolen property. The prior arrests and convictions are 4 recorded prior arrests and 2 recorded prior convictions for this 19-year-old. The fugitive status on the day of the crime is that he's absent without leave. The offender's reputation. He's active in politics. Because why not? And we're going to take a look at the juvenile court blotter on this one. The offender's juvenile offenses include hassling senior citizens. Not cool. This sterling example of humanity. Let's take a look at his pre-sentence report. I'm already thinking 99 years of prison, but I suppose we should go through the pre-sentence report. And we're going to take a look at his personal details. The offender is judicially separated. He doesn't drink, and he's
19?
he's judicially separated. He doesn't drink, and he's a kindergarten dropout. 19, says Bailiff Ottercate.
I also don't think you're allowed to drop out of kindergarten.
But he did it anyway. He threw down that gauntlet. He slammed down his milk. He said, no nap time for me, and he smashed out a window.
He's a rebel, likes to hassle senior citizens.
And him and his Velcro shoes took off to the hills. Let's take a look at his employment history. By the way, back in the 80s, kids, we all had Velcro shoes. Employment history. The offender is a media star. Oh, God. Now, They didn't have TikTok or YouTube back then. They didn't have Twitch. So he was a media star of... Oh, God. That just... This only introduces more questions. Quote-unquote Futurama. Let's look at the prosecution details. This 19-year-old man, a probation officer recommends jail time. State commission investigates you for corruption. I believe we should definitely look at the offender's upbringing and definitely look at the mental history.
Absolutely.
The offender's upbringing. The offender was raised by his grandmother and was born on a yacht. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's 99 years of prison, too light. The mental history for this 19-year-old is that he overeats and he is grossly overweight. Which, okay, whatever. But, man. Man, oh man. All right, shall we review the known facts on this one?
Yeah, I think I need a good synopsis.
Yeah, I think we all do. In the crime of hijacking, the property damage or loss was $39,000. The offender said that the victims were only those who asked for it, which does put a pin in that whole media star thing. There was no personal injury. The offender is a 19-year-old male. The victims are the state and the people. The offender said he was upset at his mother's death. The offender is absent without leave. The offender is active in politics. His prior crimes include receiving stolen property. The offender's juvenile offenses include hassling senior citizens. He has had 4 recorded prior arrests and 2 recorded prior convictions. The probation officer recommends jail time. A state commission investigates you for corruption. The offender was raised by his grandmother and was born on a yacht. The offender overeats and is grossly overweight. The offender is judicially separated, doesn't drink, and is a kindergarten dropout. Also, the offender is a media star, is currently, present tense. Bailiff Arcade, I'm gonna pass this one along to you, please. Just fire away.
Oh, I don't even know where to start. Let's see. Definitely not probation.
Nope.
Jail or prison? I'm gonna say prison. 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you always want reasons for things, so I don't know.
Okay.
I got no reasons.
Okay, that's fair. So, as you said, where to start? Let's unpack this a little. He's born on a yacht. He's 19. He thinks he can get away with hassling senior citizens. Then he becomes 19.
Minimi 96 said 7 prison.
7 prison. I haven't made my my choice yet, but we're considering 3 prison and 7 prison. So I'll continue to elucidate here. The thing that gets me is that he said that the victims of hijacking were those who asked for it. And if he is, present tense, currently a media star, I almost want to believe him on that. So the narrative that I'm constructing is that he's hosting in the 80s some show that's similar to Candid Camera, which would have been a very light and innocuous precursor to Jackass, playing pranks on people. And he shows up, this 19-year-old, inexplicably, this 19-year-old shows up with a camera and says, hey, guess what? I'm part of a TV show and I'm going to hijack your car. Are you cool with that? And they said, yeah, sure, I'm on TV. And then he hops in and $37,000 later, he gets arrested. Not cool, but it makes sense. Still not cool.
But if they say okay, how can it be hijacking?
Right. The key to that is that, first of all, he's not actually with a TV show. The video camera wasn't loaded, and he just plain old hijacked. He just used that as an excuse. So I think that 3 years of prison, 7 years of prison, I'm going to go 5 years of prison. I'm going to split between the two of you, and I'm going to say 5 years of prison. I don't like this kid. With that said, though, yeah, none of us do. With that said, though, consider rehabilitation. He's 19. Is there a case of rehabilitation, and would a harsh prison sentence preclude him from gaining that rehabilitation? And I kind of think that 7 years and 5 years would. So yeah, I'm willing to side with Bailiff Ottercade on this one for 3 years of prison. It hurts me, but I think that you're justified on this, Bailiff Ottercade.
Yeah, that's a really good point about rehabilitation.
I mean, he's not 56. He's not doing hard things. He's a kid. And even though he was born in with the silver spoon up his ass, I think that, yeah, 3 years of prison. Rehabilitation. All right. If you're cool with that, I'm cool with that. Should we go with it?
Let's do it.
All right. We're going to put your 7 years of prison on a napkin there, Mini-Me, and we'll take a look at how we scored. Mini-Me. 9 years, 9 months of prison. Congratulations for your napkin there, Mini-Me. I hate this kid. I hate Green Grouch, too. All right.
I still say we're right.
I still say all of us are right. All three of us are right. We're all justified because we all hate the kid. Let's take a look at how many gavels we got. Now we got 4 gavels. While I type this out, I want everyone to acknowledge that it is the top of the hour. Gavels 4. And
Duly acknowledged.
Tethercat said gavels, 4, judicial IQ, 48.
And now it falls on us. If we wish to end the stream, it would be a good time. This would be an hour and a half of playing some cases. We didn't do great, but we didn't do poorly.
Minimi 96 said, well, I mean, you should know how we youngins are.
I definitely know how you youngins are. You're all on my lawn. With your TikToks. Bailiff Arcade, are you good to keep going, or would you care to call it a night?
I think I'm going to call it a night.
Then if that's the case, I would also like to call it a night. And with that said, everyone, I'd like to thank all of you for playing along, for showing up, for contributing to the stream. Jury Foreman Mini-Me, it's always a pleasure to have you on board. You're always, your suggestions are always well taken. Bailiff Outercape, before we end the stream, do you have any words to say?
Good night, everybody. And Mini-Me, if I ever need anything named,
Melis Gaming said
you're
horizontally
definitely the
spinning
first
rat.
person to ask.
Absolutely. Jury Foreman Mini-Me, the arbiter of names. Horizontally spinning rat? I can't even do that. Chat rat, don't play that. I wish it could. I wish I could, but it just doesn't.
Minimi 96 said it was fun. Have a great night, and much love, waving hand.
And I apologize, Melis Gaming, because we are ending the stream at this point. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. Have yourselves a good evening. Have yourselves a good weekend. And as always, thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.
Tethercat said thanks for watching. Tethercat said _carrot. Melis Gaming said hot. Tethercat said I wish I could have spun chat rat for yat, Melis.